Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ashley Tadakonda. I've been playing the violin for 9 years, and today, as you may have guessed from the introduction, I will be sharing an informative speech on the violin. I will be discussing the history of the violin, the structure of the violin, and a famous violin piece. So let's begin with the history of the violin. According to Bennings Violins, a violin making shop that has been masterfully crafting the instrument since 1953, the first known ancestor of the violin was the Ravanastron. It was a bowed instrument that originated in Sri Lanka in 5000 BC and was made up of 22 strings. Later on, the rebec was created in 10th century Middle East. This is what the rebec looked like. According to Connolly Music, a family-owned music company since 1971, the rebec is the most closely related ancestor to the violin, as it was played above the shoulder in a similar manner as the violin is today. However, the violin that we know and love today was originated in northern Italy in 16th century. It was modernized and popularized there, and since then, the violin has not changed much. Now let's move on to the structure of the violin. As you can see in this labeled diagram, the violin consists of the scroll, the pegs, the fingerboard, the neck, the body, the bridge, the F-holes, the tailpiece, the adjuster, and the chin rest. Now we can't talk about the violin without talking about its other half, the bow. As you can see here, the bow consists of the tip, the stick, the hairs, the frog, and the screw. The bow hairs are typically made of horsehair, and the screw is used to tighten the bow hairs so that they can grip the violin strings better. Speaking of gripping the violin strings, rosin is also used among violinists. Rosin is the solid form of resin, which comes from trees and is very similar to tree sap. It's sticky and rubbed along the bow hairs so that they can grip together better and grip the violin string better to create stronger vibrations. The vibrations are important because that's how we hear the violin. The vibrations travel into the body of the violin and out through the F-holes, which is how we hear the beautiful sounds that are made when a violin is playing. Now let's talk about an amazing violin piece. You may know of Beethoven, Mozart, and Vivaldi. However, today I will be discussing what is arguably the most famous violin solo piece, which is none other than Bach's Chaconne in D minor. This is what it sounds like. Now, as you may have noticed, this piece requires immense precision. The violinist can take years to master it. The violinist is required to move their fingers quickly along the fingerboard in the exact right location to get those sounds in tune and sharp. It can take years to master the technique and emotion required to play this piece, and very few have successfully been able to recreate it. Now, to recap, we have discussed the history of the violin, including the fact that it was originated in Sri Lanka and the Middle East, but was modernized and popularized in northern Italy. We've discussed the structure of the violin, including its parts and how the violin's sounds are created. And we have discussed a world-renowned violin solo piece and the immense technique required to play it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, are there any questions?
No.
Wonderful. So to conclude this speech, I wanted to demonstrate that the violin is not only used for old and classical music, but can be used in many different genres. So please enjoy this violin cover of Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal. Thank you so much for your time.